Well, I think you guys are kind of disrupting the industry, especially in Tennessee, but now you're expanding into other states too, because previously, when you talk about barrier of entry, I feel like for any like nurse, CRNA, nurse practitioner that wants to go into business, like there's so much to figure out. But you guys are kind of simplifying it because you're like, hey, we figured it out. Come join us. You still have your own business. What advice do you have for anyone maybe that's like trying to start this? Like, what would be your first advice if you're thinking about getting to aesthetics, you're not really sure to start? Like, what's your first actionable?
We can even do this better. Is catching people more upstream. For medical providers, the first thing they think they need to do when they want to do something is to go get trained. And in fact, I really would rather than, in our particular example, have done all these other pieces beforehand so that the skill can be implemented as close to training as possible. We know how it works. Practice a Foley. It's a lot easier to go put one in and then wait 6 months to do it. And then you're freaking out all over again.
Basically, I think your advice is really correct because we see that all the time where people go get training. They'll have, they'll do all their training and then it's like, okay, now I'm ready to start. They don't have a medical director. They don't have anything set up like business structure, nothing,
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. So that is the biggest piece of advice that I would give to people, assuming you're not like coming into a model like ours, is to try and find that person to do that flight consultation with. I would say do not Google. You need to go speak to somebody and be wary of that person because the level of compliance out there is rather low. But go try to find a credible resource and get some of those first steps taken care of before you go seek out that training.
Well, let me speak to that. A credible resource being just because your brother's an attorney does not mean he has any idea what the heck he's talking about.
And
yeah. And then let me take it a step further. Even if he's a healthcare attorney, he still probably does not know exactly with medical spa laws, what exactly they mean. And then importantly, your state. Let's talk about finding the resource in your state because every state is so different, or at least there are varying levels of each state. And so those are definitely some of the pieces. Find out what you need when you're not joining a Smiley Aesthetics or something. You want to do this by yourself, totally doable, but finding what you need to be compliant because your entire career is on the line, as we all know, sitting on this call. So treating it as such.
And I use the analogy that nurses, when you go into a hospital, you have your clients handed to you. You go into a supply room and you grab everything that you need and you're just do whatever. Oh, that fully touched her leg. Toss that one out and grab another one. It's only $1,500, but the hospital's paying for it. No sweat. This is just completely different. So the same way that you would set up a procedure and with the care, let's say a physician was coming in and they were coming in to do a procedure. You set up everything you can think that person needs in the room so that it is as smooth as possible. That is an analogy to a business plan. We often don't want to do that because it's not in our nature. Someone's crashing and burning. Decision, action. That is not what you're getting into. You're getting into owning and operating your own business, and it is very different, very doable, but very different. So the first step, business plan and foundation. What do you need? A medical director, an EMR, some legal agreements between you and your medical director, your account with whatever service you're going to provide. And then I also tell them, start slow because you have such wide profit margins on aesthetics and you really can make some good money and utilize free social media marketing and other things like that. If you'll just calm down and not jump straight into 47,000 lasers and 14 different procedures, you will make the money you need to then feed back in. And that is our model, what we're teaching nurses. For very low overhead and very low entry financially, you can start a business with exactly what we did. We put no money into this other than our training and our initial supply, what we have now emulated. You can then build if you'll just be patient. But as medical providers, that's not how we operate, right? Because everything in the hospital is you have 12 hours. Get that mess done. You didn't get out. They're dying. They're not dying. Go. I mean, it's a very different situation. So take a breath, make a plan.
You hit it right on the head, Carla. That's so especially ingrained. And even as for not all medical providers, but it's on to even hyper ingrained, especially in people that work in the operating room, because you can still turn.
Yeah.
It's perfect. That's you hit it right on the head. Exactly. And the whole idea of taking the time to gain some clarity by writing the business plan first pays for itself over and over.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be some special business plans. Just what do I need? Yeah. And then this is where it rolls back to what we've already discussed. Finding people that are jerks and who will tell you, here are the things that you need. I may not be able to speak to New Mexico at this point in time, and I'm never giving legal advice, nothing we talk about on this podcast or anywhere else's legal advice, but finding somebody who will just tell you, here's a list of 5 things that you should start with, and then consider your training. And then I have thoughts on where, on how to pick your training, of course, as well.